The UK has just been hit with crippling tariffs as Donald Trump ramps up his global trade war, and Keir Starmer is scrambling to contain the fallout. Despite the Prime Minister's recent visit to Washington and a direct plea to the US President, Trump refused to back down, slapping a massive 25% tax on British steel and aluminium exports. With UK businesses now bracing for impact, Downing Street insists it will take a cool-headed approach. But is Starmer being too soft? While the EU fires back with countermeasures, the UK government is hesitating, sparking backlash from business leaders and opposition MPs alike. In today's video, we will break it down, but first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. Just a quick one to say we have new Liber t-shirts available on our website. You can check the link in the description or go to BritishStand.com. US President Donald Trump has dragged the UK into his global trade war after slapping a 25% tariff on worldwide steel and aluminium imports. The decision comes despite Sir Keir Starmer's recent visit to the White House, where the Prime Minister personally extended an invitation for a state visit in an effort to maintain strong diplomatic and economic ties. Downing Street officials said the UK will take a cool-headed approach to a potential trade dispute, resisting immediate retaliation while working behind the scenes to secure exemptions for British industries. You won't get immediate counter-tariffs, a government source told reporters, suggesting that Starmer's administration aims to avoid escalating tensions unnecessarily. However, pressure is mounting from within the UK's manufacturing sector and among opposition parties for the government to take a tougher stance. On a phone call with the US President, Starmer reportedly pleaded with Trump to exempt the UK from the latest 25% tariff hike, according to the Financial Times. His efforts mirror those of previous prime ministers who have sought to secure favorable trade terms with the US, though Trump's aggressive protectionist policies have often left allies disappointed. Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds expressed his frustration, calling Trump's decision disappointing and warning that it would significantly impact British businesses. Reynolds insisted that all options remain on the table, though he stopped short of confirming whether the UK would introduce countermeasures similar to those announced by the European Union. We are focused on a pragmatic approach and are rapidly negotiating a wider economic agreement with the US to eliminate additional tariffs and to benefit UK businesses and our economy, Reynolds said. Meanwhile, we remain resolute in our support for UK industry. This government is working with affected companies today, and I back industry's application to the Trade Remedies Authority to investigate what further steps might be necessary to protect UK producers. The impact of Trump's tariffs is expected to be significant. According to EU estimates, the latest round of tariffs will affect approximately £22 billion of European exports, with UK steel and aluminium industries among those hardest hit. Gareth Stace, the Director General of Trade Association UK Steel, slammed the move as hugely disappointing and warned that the decision could have devastating consequences for the sector. President Trump must surely recognize that the UK is an ally, not a foe, Stace said. Our steel sector is not a threat to the US, but a partner to key customers, sharing the same values and objectives in addressing global overcapacity and tackling unfair trade. These tariffs couldn't come at a worse time for the UK steel industry, as we battle with higher energy costs and subdued demand at home against an oversupplied and increasingly protectionist global landscape. Nadine Bloxham, the chief executive of the Aluminium Federation, echoed similar concerns, stating that the UK aluminium sector is already seeing the first consequences of Trump's tariffs. The sharp rise in US premiums has created new incentives for scrap exports, raising the risk of significant domestic scrap leakage, Bloxham warned. This not only weakens the UK's recycling capacity, but risks undermining our sustainability objectives and circular economy targets. According to government estimates, around 5% of UK steel exports and 6% of aluminium exports by volume go to the US. However, the aluminium industry body has pointed out that the US market accounts for 10% of total UK aluminium exports, valued at approximately £225 million annually. Trump's aggressive tariff strategy has sent shockwaves through global markets before, with previous disputes involving Canada and Mexico leading to partial reversals of the tariffs after tense negotiations. While there is hope that similar exemptions could be secured for the UK, the unpredictability of Trump's trade policies leaves little certainty. Opposition leaders, including Conservative Shadow Chancellor Jeremy Hunt, have called for Starmer's government to take a firmer stance in response to the tariffs. Hunt criticized what he described as a weak approach, urging the Prime Minister to stand up for British industry and push for immediate relief. The situation presents a crucial test for Starmer's government as it navigates its first major economic challenge, with the Biden administration expected to watch closely from the sidelines. Whether the UK can secure a resolution or will be forced into an economic standoff with its closest ally remains to be seen. In more news, free speech advocates are warning that an amendment going to a vote in the House of Commons could decide the fate of free speech in pubs up and down the country. The amendment pertains to Clause 18 of the Employment Rights Bill, which Labour introduced last year ostensibly to expand workers' rights. The clause extends beyond the Worker Protection, Amendment of Equality Act 2010, Act 2023, which only mandated taking reasonable steps to prevent sexual harassment by third parties, without providing a standalone claim for such harassment. Clause 18 broadens this to cover harassment related to all relevant protected characteristics, excluding pregnancy, maternity, and marriage civil partnership, not just sexual harassment. Labour say this will address situations where employees, particularly in customer-facing roles like hospitality, retail, or healthcare, face harassment from third parties, such as offensive remarks or behaviour overheard or directed at them. Free speech advocates such as the Free Speech Union, FSU, counter that the expanded legislation could force employers to police casual conversations or jokes among customers to avoid liability. The Equality and Human Rights Commission, EHRC, has voiced this concern, adding that it could disproportionately curtail freedom of expression. Pubs, which serve as hubs for unfiltered speech, will come in the firing line, critics say. They present the following scenario. You're in a pub with your mates putting the world to rights over a couple of beers. The waiter overhears your conversation and gets offended. He complains to his boss, who thinks nothing of it. A few weeks later, that same boss is hauled before a committee to answer for your wrongthink. As the EHRC explains, publicans could ultimately be forced to ban customers from discussing controversial topics, like religion and transgender rights, due to Labour's proposed workers' rights reforms. This could have a chilling effect on free speech and put the final nail in the Kyle Clifford will be given a whole life order at Cambridge Crown Court for the crossbow and knife murders of his ex-partner Louise Hunt, her sister Hannah Hunt, and her mother Carol Hunt, the sentencing judge said. Clifford refused to appear at Cambridge Crown Court and face her family, as the judge declined to order restraints due to the killer's disability. Speaking during sentencing, Justice Benathan said the triple murderer launched a murderous attack on his ex-girlfriend and her family. The evidence I have heard shows you to be a jealous man soaked in self-pity, a man who holds women in utter contempt. Judges typically pass sentence at the end of their remarks. However, Benathan decided to open his speech with the sentence. This is no occasion to subject family and friends of your victims to any delay or suspense, he told the court. I therefore make clear at once that for each of these three murders, the sentence will be one of life imprisonment with a whole life order. That means a sentence from which you will never be released. John Hunt, father to Hannah and Louise and husband to Carol, hugged his surviving daughter Amy after Clifford was sentenced. The incident took place on July 9th last year, just 13 days after Louise had ended their relationship. The 26-year-old previously pleaded guilty to murdering his former girlfriend Louise and her mother Carol and her sister Hannah at their home in Bushey, Hertfordshire. On Thursday, the former soldier was found guilty of rape following a 4-day trial. He became the subject of a manhunt for hours following the murders, until he was eventually found injured in a North London cemetery. After he shot himself in the chest with the crossbow, Clifford became paralyzed from the chest down. Benethon said forcing him to attend the trial and potentially disrupting it was simply not appropriate or suitable. Referring to Clifford's absence in court, John told the court in a victim impact statement, "I so wish to deliver these words eye to eye, Kyle, and I'll continue to do so as if I was doing that. The screams of hell, Kyle, I can hear them faintly now. They're going to roll the red carpet out for you." Amy also directed her words at the killer, telling the court, "Kyle, plainly the Hunt family are human and you are not." What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.